VikesNow, Dustin Baker, the June 26th Sunday edition. I'm here with Janik Eckardt from Germany. Did I say it correct, sir?
Correct.
All right, finally, I got it right for once. All right, so you write for Vikings Territory, which is the website I write for. And I want to know, I usually ask this of all of the guests, how did you find the Vikings as your team about a decade ago?
I'm just watching football and Adrian Peterson is just running over people, and that got me excited.
Yeah, he almost single-handedly brought you in.
Yeah, it was him. It was not Christian Ponder. It was Adrian Peterson.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, I came aboard in 1996 when I knew I was moving to Minneapolis, and then thankfully Moss came around 2 years later, so that's the one that hooked me. So I asked you on tonight to go over 4 concerns about the 2022 Vikings, and we're still in a honeymoon period with new coach, new general manager. Pretty much same roster with a few tweaks. But let's go down these and discuss them. We'll go for about 15 minutes. Give me your first concern about Kevin O'Connell's Vikings.
So I'm pretty optimistic about next season, but got some concerns. And the first one is Kevin O'Connell. He's a first-time head coach, so you have no idea if he's any good. He could be really bad. He could be really good. Could be anything in between. You have no idea. That's my number one concern. And going with that is the scheme, the new schemes. How long does it take for players to get it down? We don't know. So coaching is my first concern.
Okay, that's fair. I think I don't think that's a popular one because everybody got sour on Zimmer over the last 2 years because the product had become really mediocre. But in his 8 years, the Vikings had the 10th best record. And I think we kind of took that for granted. Now, I know that they didn't win a Super Bowl, didn't win a whole lot of playoff games, but the standard for the purple team is to win and has been for almost a decade since Zimmer took over. So the idea that O'Connell, there's always a chance that he's not ready for this and the Vikings made a wrong choice. So I think that's a valid concern. I think we'll know early on that one if he's ready for the bright lights, if they come out and get their asses kicked in the first game, yada, yada, yada. All right. So we got head coach has to actually go out there and coach and be the real deal. What's your number 2 concern?
Number 2, the cornerbacks, especially on the outside. I'm fine with Sullivan in the slot, but the outside cornerbacks, they concern me. Our 3 potential starters, Patrick Peterson, Cameron Dantzler, and Andrew Booth, all have some problems. Let's go over the names. So Peterson, in his last year in Arizona, he was bad.
Yeah.
He was just bad. And I think that's because they ran a lot of man coverage. Then he came over to Vikings, and I was thrilled because Zimmer and his zone defense, perfect fit. And now, new scheme, Dick Donatel and his Fangio scheme, probably more man-heavy, and that concerns me. So I'm not sure if he can do that anymore. He's just not the prime Patrick Peterson we used to see. And next corner, Cameron Dantzler. I've always been a Dantzler fan, but I'm not sure what his problem was with Mike Zimmer. He was the best corner on the Vikings in both seasons, in my opinion, and he just didn't play. And Breland got burned week after week.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be that Zimmer was right about Dantzler. You don't know. I'm not sure what the problem was. Could be performance. I'm not sure what he did wrong.
Yeah, I don't think anybody does.
He had the best PFF grade of the Vikings cornerbacks. He was in NFL Next Gen Stats in the top 10 cornerbacks. No idea. And maybe it was a character issue. I don't know. But it's concerning that Mike Zimmer didn't start him over Breland. And third cornerback, Andrew Booth. Liked him in the draft. I had a mid first round grade on him. I thought he could be a great selection at 32. got him at 41, so great value, but he's injured. And if a rookie cornerback misses time in spring and summer, that's not good for his first season. He'll probably struggle. So I think he should open as a backup, maybe come in later, but I think we should see him struggling early.
When about a month ago, when Luke Kuechly out of nowhere said the Vikings had the best secondary, do you think that he was just looking for a hot take, or what was it?
I'm not sure what that was. Maybe he likes Harrison Smith and remembers Patrick Peterson from the old days.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, with Dantzler, I would be willing to bet, even though I don't have it on good authority, that it was probably something personality related that pissed off Zimmer, because it was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen from the Vikings, that they would willingly play Breland, who was shitty, very shitty for the first most of the season, and then we knew that Dantzler wasn't, and so yeah, I think that one was kind of in that Kellen Mond grudge category, where the old Parcells like coach just didn't want to engage him until it was absolutely necessary. All right, Kevin O'Connell being too green, perhaps, the corners not being overly deep, and then some of the suspect, Booth, if he doesn't get help. What's number 3 on your list of Vikings concerns?
Number 3, the classic interior offensive line. So we got fixed we have fixed the tackles. Interior is still a struggle. I think Darisaw will be an absolute monster in the second season. O'Neal is O'Neal, and the interior, still not sold. I think it's better than last year. Bradbury, I'm not sure what he can do now. If he can improve, or if he just is Bradbury the first 3 years, I'm not sure. He's apparently a big dude now. Maybe that helped. And they signed Jesse Davis on the right guard. I did not like that move. Then they brought in Chris Reed. I liked that move. Instantly reached out to a Colts podcast and asked him if he's any good. They said he's fantastic.
Yeah.
He should start for years. And then they selected Ed Ingram in the draft. And now I'm back to, I have no idea what they're doing there. But it's a good thing that they've brought in multiple guys to fix the hole, and I hope they finally done it right.
Yeah, I think
Cleveland at left guard should be solid. He had 1 or 2 stinkers every year, but overall he's been fine.
I think it would be ultra bizarre for 2 consecutive coaching staffs not to be able to fix 3 spots, arguably 2 spots on an offensive line. So it can only last for so long. And I mean, unless multiple handsomely paid coaches don't get it. So I have hope, I believe it when I see it, hope on the offensive line. And it also, like you said, feels different that I've said like 5 times on this show when I'm just by myself that if it's the same bullshit again, it will mean that Ingram sucked, Reed sucked, Jesse Davis sucked, Bradbury sucked once again. So where in years past you would do something like just move Pat Elflein over, or let's throw Dakota Dozier. The solutions coming into a regular season were always half-assed, and now it seems like they've got 3 dudes who can potentially do it, especially at right guard, and that gives me hope. And so I think those factors, that there's more options and then it's different leaders, gives me hope that we're going to finally see an offensive line that's average or maybe even better than that. So Kevin O'Connell maybe not be ready. Cornerback depth and personnel. Interior offensive line, you had to say that one because it's been such a problem for so long. Outside of the 2017 season, they were actually pretty good in that season. What is your final concern about the Minnesota Vikings for this September?
One more concern, pass rush. You got the 2 studs with injury concerns. Back injury can always come back. And the depth behind them is just nothing there. DJ Bonham has been bad in my opinion. He was complete liability, especially in the run game. I mean, that's why the run game was so bad, run defense, because Bonham was just pushed out of the stadium in run plays. Then the running backs had holes. And they have Patrick Jones. I don't know if he's much better or any better. Janaris Robinson was hurt last year, so if the two stars or one goes down, we have a problem. So hope they can stay healthy.
Yeah, that is a significant concern that I don't think that many people care about, because you look for, people that don't get completely obsessed with this. You look down at the roster and say Hunter and Za'Darius, yeah, we're going to be fine. But yeah, if something happens to those already injury prone players, then you're leaning on a bunch of maybes, whether it's Wanham Jones or Andre Mitzi or Mintz, however you say his last name. The run defense was always so strange last year. There were so many holes that every time a guy touched the ball, it felt like he got 5 or 6 rushing yards. But you had Dalvin Tomlinson and sometimes Michael Pierce in the middle. And then the linebackers, Anthony Barr and Eric Kendricks, are usually good at stuffing the run. So each week I'd watch this unfold and try to diagnose why they couldn't stop the run, because they had the guys there, at least per their previous performance, that they shouldn't have struggled against the run, but they very vividly did. On those backup pass rushers, so at least one has to emerge, even if Hunter and Za'Darius don't get hurt, because you need situational pass rushers. And one thing I've been interested on this last couple months is there's so many unknown breakout candidates, whether it's Luigi Villan, Jalen Twyman, Assisi from the Gophers. Now they got the dude from the Broncos. Which one of those guys that we keep calling, look out for Luigi Villan, which one of those do you think will actually ascend and make the team? Because most of those guys that just read off won't even make the 53-man roster.
That's tough. I'm a James Lynch fan, so I hope he can do an impact in the interior.
Yeah.
Edge rusher, maybe Luigi Villan. We don't know. Guess we'll have to see for preseason or training camp, and maybe he can do an impact. He couldn't get on the field at Michigan. He was sitting behind Hutchinson and Ochabo, so not bad competition there. Then he transferred and had just 1 year of production. Maybe he can be a dark horse.
What about so you said Lynch. What about in the middle between Twyman and Assisi from the Gophers? Do you think one of those two guys makes the 53-man?
That's tough. They play the same position as Lynch, so maybe Lynch just takes the spot. I think the Gophers dude is probably more a practice squad guy in his first year. I think Twyman, I liked him in the draft, thought he fell a bit far, so maybe he could be something.
Yeah, he's also still listed on ESPN as the starting defensive tackle, and I can't figure.
That's weird.
They're the way that they've structured the Vikings defense is a mess. Like, they haven't quite realized that it's switched to a 3-4, and they have Twyman starting. And I go check it probably twice a week, thinking, did they fix it yet? But nope. And the last thing I'll ask you, while I got you on air, so in the last week, the Ndamukong Suh chatter heated up, because indeed, if you believe the USA Today, the Vikings have talked to him or talked about signing him. And so it's the Raiders and the Vikings where he evidently might go. And then Kyle Rudolph told Paul Allen on KFan that I want to come back. So do you think that either one of those moves will happen, that they sign Rudolph or Ndamukong Suh?
I still think they should sign a tight end. I'm not sure if they do. They actually said that Munn said that he can catch the football. Hasn't never shown it, but maybe he can be the tight end too. But I'm not sold on that. I hope they sign either one, because both could help a lot. Suh could bring a pass rush to the interior. Tomlinson and Phillips are not pass rushers; they are run stoppers. So it could be a nice dimension. I'm not sure if they sign one. We'll see.
Okay. All right. Well, any closing arguments for the group? I'll probably have you back on during training camp to get your take, but any parting thoughts?
So was pretty negative today. So I'm optimistic about next season. So let's go to the playoffs.
Yeah. All right, cool. When we do a training camp show here in about a month, I'll have you address things that you liked so that the viewership here doesn't think that you're just a negative Nancy. But in your defense, your writings are rarely negative. So I think this was just seeing another side of Janik tonight.
Yeah.
All right, my man. You take it easy, and I will be back on Monday with a new Vikings topic. And Skol, baby.